In this video, we're going to learn that how we are supposed to quantify the descriptions that we have in terms of our relevant experience, and how we are going to change that according to the needs of the firm or the job description. And we would be adding some action verbs, and we'll be looking at some words that we can use in order to represent those specific skill sets that are being needed in terms of getting screened out fast, and those skill sets that the firm is looking at. So we would be looking that as well from by moving back to the job description, and then we would be using these specific action verbs and quantification in order to make our CV impactful. Now we are going to discuss the quantification and action verbs and how we are going to use them in our CVs. This is one of the most important topics when it comes to development of a professional CV. So let's jump into the introduction first. So first of all, we are going to understand the overall description, and that how we are supposed to add the description of our education, our background, or in a scenario where we have relevant experience in the past, or we don't have relevant experience in the past, or in a scenario if we actually qualify for that job or we have the qualification for that, or in a scenario if we don't have that specific qualification for that job. Then we would be moving towards the quantification, that how we are supposed to use quantification in our CV, and how we are going to use action verbs, and what are actually action verbs, and how they're going to actually help improve and enhance the overall CV, and it is going to actually help the recruiter to screen us fast. So before going into the details of the quantification and action verbs, we have to actually move on and understand the basic concept, that is the job description in itself. So a job description is a document that clearly states the essential job requirements, job duties or responsibilities, and skills required to perform a specific role. They are also known as a job specification, job profiles, JD, and in some cases people call them position descriptions or job PD. So first of all, when you're going to start to develop your CV or a resume, you have to understand the concept of the job description, and you have to study that clearly, that what are the requirements that are given in that specific job description, and then you would be developing your overall CV. So in order to do that, we are going to actually start off by actually looking at an example of a job description. So for example, you're going to apply for a job of a marketing executive. So first of all, we're going to look at the key responsibilities that are actually asked there in terms of applying for that specific job. So for the key responsibilities, they're actually looking for a candidate who actually is good in overseeing and developing marketing campaigns, at actually looking at promotional activities, or organizing events, and product exhibitions, and monitoring performance and everything. So these are the points that in line of these points we will be actually adding the quantification and action verbs in our CVs. But we don't actually have to add each and every aspect that has been covered here, but you can actually use some of the points from this key responsibilities, and in line to those we are going to actually add description in our CVs. So let's move on to the next point. There were the key responsibilities that they were being shown there in the job description, and the other thing was the key skill set. So for that specific marketing executive job, you should be having some good teamwork skills, some adaptability. You would be having strong attention to detail. They would be needing the IT skills and numerical skills. So these are the basic skills that are they are actually looking for. So now we have understood the overall responsibilities and the skill set that were required there in the job description. There might be other details as well available in that job description of the salary and other details and the package and everything, but these are the most important and relevant that are going to help us develop our CV. So now we would be moving towards directly into the quantification. Let's see what is the quantification. So quantification is the result oriented description in numbers or percentage. So basically whatever you have actually written there, or you have the experience in the past, you actually have to quantify that in terms of numbers or in terms of the percentage. So what this is going to actually do, this is going to actually help the recruiter screen you fast and understand you easily. So now we are going to move towards the example on a CV, and we're going to look at how we are supposed to quantify our basic descriptions there in terms of the specific job description that we have actually discussed right now. So now we are at the start of the CV, and this is the part you have the name. You would be having your professional image here. I have added my branding statement, or you can actually add your elevator pitch as you feel comfortable. You'll be having your recent contact details, your education in a chronological order, your interests, and your overall work experience. So now, in order to understand the basic quantification, I am going to actually read out this basic paragraph. So here I have written that I had managed the change resistance for new technology and implementation, and had done some creation in in-house campaigns. I had managed some customer pool building, retention, and database extension, and as a whole, I increased customer registration rate by 30% in 2 weeks. So now, if you look at this specific paragraph, it is a simple paragraph, and it actually describes that what I had done and I have achieved in that specific marketing executive experience that I had in the past. So if you look at this last line, it actually describes that what improvement I got there in 2 weeks, and that is a 30% increase rate in the registration. And so this means that this is a very good rate. So that represents that I have actually quantified my overall experience that I had there in the past. So this is how you have to actually quantify the aspects of your past experience, so it would become easier and convenient for the recruiter to actually screen you out fast. On the other hand, when we saw earlier on the responsibilities, there were there was two basic things that were required there. One was there that you have to be you should be having good organizational planning skills, right? So if we look at this basic paragraph, so it when I talk about the managing the change resistance, I talk about managing customer pool building. So everything here represents that I could have good organizational planning skills, because after having those skill sets and implementing those skill sets, I actually ended up having an increase of 30% in the customer registration. So that is also quantified. So this is how you are going to actually use those specific responsibilities and skill sets from that job description, and you are going to actually add your description here in terms of that specific requirement that are given there, and then you are going to actually quantify your overall experiences here. Now we are going to move back and understand the concept of action verbs. So, what are action verbs? So, basically, action verbs are certain words that actually depict a specific skill set in yourself. So, here is a list of basic action verbs that can be used in the CV in order to actually represent your specific skill set in terms of that specific job description. So, this overall sheet of action verbs is actually attached with resource. From there you can download it, and you can use any of the given action verb here into your CV in order to make it professional. So now we are going to move back to the CV and understand that how action verbs are added in the CV and how they actually help us represent our specific skill set. After going through the action verbs, now we're going to see them in an example. So here I have written that I actually was the team lead of 3 people, and I had worked with them in 4 different projects. I actually oversaw and handled some awareness campaigns. I maintained ERP, a database of 650 customers, along with customer engagement. So if we look at this specific paragraph, it actually represents that I had some specific team building skills, and I had some organization skills. Because I actually maintained the ERP there. So as a whole, if we look at the specific skill set that were required in the job description, so it shows that there was the actual basic skill that were required was that you must be a team player, you must be having some leadership skills, and you must be having some IT skills. So if we look here, that I've used the word as the team lead here. I've used that I had managing the change in the past. Then I also used here that I had some, I developed some skill set in terms of communication, leadership, and decision making, problem solving. So all of these action verbs added here in the CV represent my those specific skill sets that were actually required in that job description. So once again, the skills are covered here by using those specific action verbs. So it is advised that when you're going to use those action verbs, you have to actually make sure that you use them at the start of each paragraph, so that, or each line, that so that it would make it convenient and easier for the recruiter to actually understand that you have some specific skill set in very fast and short in order to actually screen you out fast. On the other hand, when we look at this paragraph might seem to be very short, crisp, and precise, but it actually has the specific skill set depicted here and these responsibilities as well. Now, if we look back at the overall responsibilities that we saw in the job description, we can see that there was some promotional activities. Responsibility included this, and the other thing was that you should be in a position to actually monitor performance. You should be in a position to actually look and handle social media campaigns. So if you look here, I actually had an experience of handling the social media campaign because I used I actually used and had experience with sponsor ads. Then they talked about that IT skills, so I actually maintained the ERP that represents that I had the IT skills. Once again, I have talked about specific customers that represent that I have actually quantified here as well. So as a whole, I have actually depicted all these responsibilities and these skill sets in this specific paragraph. So according to this, we have to make sure that whenever you're going to add the quantification, you have to make sure that there are some specific action verbs present there as well, and all of that description is going to represent the skill set and responsibilities that are actually given in the job description at the start that we have discussed. So there might be another scenario where you might not be having this relevant experience here and you would not be in a position to actually go on and add these action verbs and everything here. So in that scenario, what you can do is that you might be having some education experiences from the past. If we go down here, we can see that you might have practiced something or some skill sets in certain projects that you might have gone through throughout your educational career. So you can actually start adding description to that, the either workshops you have attended in the past or certain projects that you have gone through your education career. You can actually add that here and as well, so that they're going to actually help you and depict those specific skill set and that you might be in a position to represent them, that you can take care of those specific responsibilities. So there might be people who actually do not have that education experience as well, neither the overall practical experience. So what they can do, so for those people, what you can do is you can actually go out and have some social work for some social cause and have do some charity work and do some projects for the community, and then you can add those community projects and everything here, and you can start describing everything that what are the skill set responsibilities you took care there. But in another scenarios, if you are not in a position to actually go out as well and do not take that experience from the field, so you can actually go online and learn something from the online platforms, and there you can actually start to relate those specific steps and for those specific skill set and responsibilities that you actually saw online or you learned online from a specific course, and then you can add that here as well. So this was the research for a research skill course that I actually did just for in order to get into a research job, and it actually helped me to get into the job and actually helped me work for different multinational organizations as well. So this is how you're going to take care of overall quantification and overall action verb addition in your CV in order to make it professional.